Hello, and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own money expert, our very own money whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you this morning, Judy?
I am awesome. How are you, Carlos?
I feel great. It's a Tuesday morning, so I am ready. Folks, if you're just joining us, make sure you grab your favorite beverage this morning and sit down because we're going to take you down a little path of where are they now today. And for those that are you guys joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. All of our social media links are there. And we'll talk about our website a little bit later on in the show. But this is always a great exciting episodes when we get to talk about where are they now, because you've got so many stories, so many people's lives that you touched and made them better than when they reached out to you. So I want to be able to have an opportunity for folks to really hear some of these experiences and share some of these stories because, hey, somewhere in there, that's going to be you. That could be you're talking about me. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty when you take time to actually do this. It goes without saying, we all appreciate that because it's still a great learning situation. So, hey, I'll be quiet now so you can get going on this.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking, where are they now? There's a lot of they, right? But I'll tell you, I have the coolest job on the planet. I get to be right in the front row helping people not just live out their dreams, but achieve their goals and leave legacy for their family and live a life that they see as quality of life. And that's different for everyone. And so I just have the coolest job in the world. But I was just thinking, who do I talk about? I thought, well, my very next appointment this morning is with a gal. And I was thinking, this is where she is now. This is where they came from. So this is a couple I began working with probably over 20 years ago. And we put their estate planning in place. We put their financial planning in place. And he was an engineer for one of the contractors for building rockets and stuff like that, aerospace stuff. Southern California, we have a lot of that. And so he had a regular job. They had a regular, simple life. I don't think their budget was ever over $3,500 a month, ever. And of course, he made a whole lot more than that. And so it's like, where does the rest go? Do we just give it to our kids? Do we just help the church? What do we do with it? And so we put together a plan years ago. And when I met them, they had nothing. I think he had a little bit in his 401k. It's like, well, let's beef that up. And so we put together a financial plan. And his big goal was to make sure if something happened to him, he did not expect longevity because of his health history and his family history. And he was right. And so he planned from the beginning to make sure she was okay. So this is Mama. I'm not going to use the real names, but he figured he would die first, and she was very financially illiterate, didn't know about money, didn't want to know money. She could barely do the grocery shopping. If I asked her how much she spent, she wouldn't be sure. Just very, very simple that way. Didn't want to know. She just wanted to take care of him and raise the kids and all of that. So they did that. Flash forward a few years. He died probably 3 years ago now. I'll be meeting with her and her daughter in just a little bit, but and it was a 2 years coming thing. He had heart issues and then he had stroke issues, and it was kind of a long. And then he went on dialysis, all of that. So it was kind of, we could kind of see the end coming. And his whole thing was, I want to make sure she's okay. She's got what she needs. If she has a health issue, it's covered. She's got support that she can ask questions of and make sure that, the taxes get handled, because she has no clue. And so now here we are. I meet with her 3 times a year. And in between, if she needs to call and I need to just talk her off the ledge because she heard something or read something, and she gets nervous about, whatever she's hearing. And I just talk her off the ledge. And then we have 3 times a year where we sit down and make sure everything is in order financially. And she is in great shape. And
Wow.
we never finish a phone call or finish a meeting without her saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. What would I do without you and the resources? So that's where she is now. And her family's in great shape. She's still able to help them. They have a special needs grandson, and they're helping him as well. So it's just been a great experience being on board with them.
You mentioned, there's several things that I want to touch on that story too. One was the fact that it's planning, right? We talked about this in the shows before. So maybe talk a little bit about how to get that started. If you're just joining us, this is something that you may want to take some notes on too, because Judy's talked about this in previous shows. You may want to look back also because she's done some deep dives in planning. But the other key word aside from planning is also your legacy. That's another key word that jumped out at me when you're talking about this story. So you want to elaborate or share a little bit of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, planning is
Yeah,
not
planning
just,
is not
what's
just,
going to happen when
what's
I
gonna
die.
happen when I die.
It's how do
Right.
I
It's how do
allocate
I
income as it comes
income
in?
as it
You know,
comes
their
in? If
business
their
income,
business
maybe I
income,
have a
maybe I
job
have
and I
a
get paid
job
every other week or
every
something.
other week.
How do you allocate those dollars? And you always want to plan for now, soon, and later. And when you do that, you're always going to have enough. And it's just a matter of knowing how much to put in each bucket and do all of that in a fee free environment or a low fee environment if you can't go fee free, and reduce the taxes along the way. There's so many vehicles that we can use, financial vehicles that we can use that help us either avoid taxes or defer them as your money is growing and accumulating over the years. So it's just knowing which tools to use, which levers to pull at the right time. That's the planning part. And then you mentioned the other word legacy. That means a lot to me with where I am in life and what we've accomplished and what we're helping our children, our adult children, to do. It's about, well, what's going to be my life print? They talk about when a building is burned down, and I just kind of picture walking along the shore in Hawaii. They've had hurricanes there, and some of the foundations from these buildings that were near the shore now are down under the water, and you can see them down through that beautiful clear blue water. And when they talk about where a building had been, they could talk about the footprint of the building, and the footprint is still there. Well, when I'm gone, there's going to be a footprint of my life. I would call it a life print. What will my life print look like? What stories will people remember? What lessons will they have learned from things that I shared along the way? What will have been my value on an imprint on the lives of other people long after I'm here? That's legacy. It's not just your stuff and your money in the house and the palm trees in the front yard, although
Mhm.
that's nice too. It's who you were and the impact of your life on the life of another. That's huge. And for some people, that doesn't take any money at all or very little money. Other people, it takes a lot. You might have a legacy of leaving a hospital, for some special needs issue. And some people do that too. But your legacy is what you get to leave. And a lot of my legacy is wrapped up in this conversation we're having, helping other people optimize their financial journey, and get to financial freedom because they do better when they know better. And when you know the facts and you know how to get rid of fees and get rid of taxes and optimize your growth and not get caught in a snare, and there's a lot of financial snares out there, then you do well. And part of my legacy is helping people do that while I'm here and then hopefully long after.
I love life print. That's a new term I've never heard before, and
Mhm.
that resonates very impactful, very powerful as well too. Something I remember many years ago, taking a college class was they kind of talked a little bit about legacy, but in the terms of how do you want to be remembered as a human being. So what they had us do was actually write our own obituary, which was crazy. I was like, "What do you mean? This is me being dead? How am I going to be?" But the exercise, the whole point of it was to really reflect on how you see yourself versus how other people see you. You know, in this case, you've set the bar for a lot of us in the legacy, for sure. Everything that you've done from day one, it's always been about others. It's never been about you. It's never been about your business. None of that. And that's come across in the last several years. I think since the first time we met, it's just why I always remind folks that you're the real deal with that. You're not here to make a quick buck. You're actually want to make sure that people succeed so they don't have to go through these hurdles. They don't have to go through all these extra headaches because they have a resource in you and everything that's related also within your website, which again, folks, we're going to get to in a little bit. But if you're just joining us, welcome. We're talking today about where are they now. Judy just shared a great story, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more.
Okay. Well, I glanced through my calendar and I'm thinking of this couple that I'll be seeing on Friday this week. And they are local as well. They came to me with a need to just get organized. Made a lot of money. He probably makes a couple $100,000 a year. Even in Southern California, that's pretty good. She also has a good job, 6 figures income. Their kids are pretty much up and out. They've got one wrapping up college, so the boomerang, years. And so in a couple of years, that child, the youngest, will be launched. And so they are well on their way with actually getting to keep what they earn. It doesn't all go out to tuition or the kids' activities. And so I was like, okay, what do we have to work with? So they came in, we created a financial roadmap, which was an awesome experience for this couple. They never really talked about that. They talked about money and the budget and did you pay this bill and what's due and all that. But they never really talked about what's the money for, how to use it as a tool, not just be bound by its restrictions. And so they saw it kind of in a different light, which I love, to just bring perspective and just, try this on, think about it this way. Maybe, that'll help. So they found a lot of value in that. And with this couple, they earn a lot, but it goes out the window, even though they're not using it now for, raising their kids and all the things that you just have to keep up with. It's just poof. That's a legal and financial term of art. Poof. And we all know what that means. It's like, where did it go?
Yeah.
And that there's a zero missing on my bank account. What happened, right? And so that was their experience. So we've been working with them on very basic, and they're in their 40s, very basic spending plan concepts. And again, it's allocation of income, not just allocation of outgo. You get your expenses, you line up, in priority order what you need to pay, all the envelopes, on the corner of your desk. But we don't always think about allocation of income. When the dollars come in, what bucket do they go in? What is it for? That's again, that planning side. So we've been working on that. And I'll tell you, the things they talk about when we're in our meetings are not like, here are the numbers, although the spreadsheets and all that are there. They like all the detail. We talk about that and what the money's for and what they're doing with their savings and their, the contributions for retirement and all of that. But most of the conversations we have are about the marital harmony and what they've been able to reteach their children, and filling in the gaps with things that they modeled and that they wish they hadn't modeled a certain way for their children. And now saying, look, this is what we've learned. Do it this way, save yourself 20 years of grief and try this, and it's the concepts that we're using. They're not easy, but they're very simple. And a lot of them are available in the YouTube videos, a lot of these podcasts that we put together, these morning shows that we put together. Very simple concepts, and just, step 1, 2, 3, 4, do that. And, see if it doesn't change your life. And it does. But it's just really fun with this couple to see that. So we've only been working together a few years. But already now they have, instead of zero and all these accounts that didn't even exist, they're starting to get traction. They're contributing more in their retirement plan. They're still having vacations and, living a very nice Southern California life, doing things. But they have something that they're putting away now for their goals, which are clear, and their future, which is certain. So they're in really great shape.
Awesome. And it's actually a perfect transition for us to talk about your website, because you mentioned resources. So let's talk about judycopenbarger.com. Tell our audience what they can find there, and make sure that they go there, you guys.
Absolutely. JudyCopenbarger.com. Very original. I didn't pick the name. Well, I guess I did, because when I married, I became a Copenbarger. So I guess I did have a hand in that. It's interesting. My maiden name was very short. And I like to joke that I was married about 6 months before I could spell my last name right. It's a big one. But really, if you look at it, you sound it out, it's not that bad. But a lot of people say Copenhagen, whatever, but it's Copenbarger. But yeah, the website just has access to all kinds of great stuff. You can go there, and there are YouTube videos, there are articles that will help you in every area of personal and small business finance. There's a little magic green button that you can press, and it'll take you to the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. And that is really cool. So it covers all 5 pillars of finance. It covers the protective ones like legal, entities, trusts, wills, all of that. It goes through all the insurances. What kind should I have? How much should I be paying? What's it for? How long should I keep it? It goes through the taxation. That's a big one. It goes through
Mhm.
the cash flows, cash reserves, and all the investments, the bears and the bulls, and stocks and bonds and 401ks and 403bs and IRAs and Roth IRAs and what are those anyway? And should I have them? And if I do, which is best for me? It'll help you answer all of those questions. So there are 5 courses, and each course has several classes in it where you can go to learn about all this stuff. You just click through there and it'll take you right there. It's Money, Truth, and Life online mastery course.
Awesome. And again, folks, if you're not following Judy, you can find all of her social media links on judycopenbarger.com. Uh, please make sure you take some time. All of this content is free and is part of what we talked about earlier about Judy's legacy, just to make sure that you guys are aware those questions are answered that are been bugging you. You don't know where to turn to. And I think that's been the whole purpose from day one, to make sure that um, the wisdom you share empowers people so they're not afraid anymore of getting out there and talking to the right folks. So with that said, share another story with us, please.
Oh, let's see. Let's go to a young couple. Let's see. Oh, very young couple, very young couple in another state. They're out in the Midwest. We've been working together maybe 6 years, and they've been married 5. And when we met, they both made really good money. They were already educated, just out of college and doing really well, and buying a lot of junk, like just collecting things. And I think when they were growing up, they probably just had whatever they needed provided. And so now they were having fun. It's like, there's more money, I can buy more stuff. There's more money, I can buy more stuff. And things like online, new outfits every week and that they didn't really need. It was just for fun. Um, Gadgets in the kitchen and gadgets in the yard and decorating items and just kind of like we have money now, we need to use it up, right? And that's not the way I like to help people think about money. Money's there as a tool for what am I going to need in the future, not just I have to use it up. I have to get rid of it. And some people have that mentality. It's like I have it, I got to get rid of it, use it or lose it. But it's not like that. So anyway, they are doing awesome. As a young couple, they're just approaching 30. And they have a couple $100,000 in all of their accounts. Everything's allocated, spreadsheeted. It's out in these beautiful reports. They've got money for retirement. They don't have children yet. They even have money in their 529s for their future children. They're saving for
Nice.
college for their kids. So really, really cool. They have retirement. They'll be one of these couples that can retire by 50 if they want to, because
Wow.
it's just those little bits over time. And they're already seeing all this traction. They have reasonable accounts that they're investing in, and they're happy to do that. Take the advice and use some really great resources and tools that have low fees or no fees. Low taxes is growing tax free, most of it. So they're just doing great. So where they are now, I think, is just the iceberg. It's going to be fun to see where they are 10 years from now at 40, 20 years from now at 50, but they're going to be set with all their real estate and their expenses covered before they get them. Which, how about that, right?
Yeah,
You go to
totally.
buy a car, here's the cash for the car. How about that as a concept? You go to pay for college, here's the cash for college. You go to take a vacation, here's the cash in that bucket. So they're living life that way. It's awesome to see. They're an inspiration.
So, and I'm glad you've talked about folks who are starting out. This gives a lot of our younger viewers too an opportunity to really start thinking about their future, asking those questions too. So I always like to kind of throw a little bit of a mix when we're talking about where are they now too. So take a moment and think back, maybe recently, maybe a few years ago. Um, but there's always going to be that one couple, and I don't think age matters in this, but that couple that comes to you, they're very desperate. They just found out who you were, how you can help them, right? We've talked about also when we're dealing with folks, insurance people, those people that are quote unquote on your team, but they're not really supposed to be on your team because they're not looking out for your best interest.
Mhm.
So think of a situation where you've had somebody reach out to you in that desperate moment, which is like, what do I do? I've been doing this X, Y, and Z, and I'm stuck, right? My future just seems very, very dark.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple in Texas come to mind when you say my future is very, very dark because they use those words. And this is maybe 10 years ago. And now they're just in a very good place. But 10 years ago, they were referred to me by uh, their daughter who was desperate, asking at church, who can we talk to? Who can help? Who can help my parents? And they're in another state. And my name came up, so I reached out, and they gave me this terrible story. At that time, they had probably a spreadsheet of 20 debt accounts, and some were very big. Credit cards were maxed out. They'd gone to the high double-digit interest rates. They couldn't even keep the minimum payments going on any of these. They had a mortgage that, of course, they had to pay, which means all the other things that somebody couldn't pay. And they were trying to figure out how to not get behind on that. At that time, they had uh, a need for a new car. They had a big anniversary coming up, and they were desperate to do something, but they couldn't. I mean, how do you justify, and how do you open another credit card account to do that? So they were in really bad shape. So the first thing that we did was pull all the debt together and decide what we could pay, what we could do. We negotiated on their behalf a way to get that paid down over time. And it's amazing when you ask credit cards to help, a lot of times they will. They'll either
Right.
reduce the interest rates or they'll compromise somehow, because if you show them the whole situation, which is humbling for a lot of people, and this is everything I have, this is my situation, this is what's happened. And they had health issues. The husband was starting to move into dementia at that point, so he's not going to go work, right? What do you do? And what do you cut out? There's no more room in the budget to cut. And so we negotiated, got everything down to manageable, and then we got everything down to beyond doable. And then a couple little miracles happened, just because we asked. And so they went from probably $150,000 debt and barely making their mortgage to about $20,000 in debt. Now, and that was probably in the first year. The second year, it all went away. And now they were saving, they were actually contributing. They didn't have to cut out their lifestyle. They didn't have to start eating cat food. They didn't, have to not go see their kids and put gas in the car. But we had to just manage little choices, very little choices along the way. We worked on their spending plan. We worked on it's kind of a congratulations plan where every quarter, if you do really well with these things, you reward yourself. And it might be a financial reward, it might not. Sometimes we think we need to spend money for a reward. You don't always. Again, it's mindset. Change your mindset. And you know that you're going to work really hard for 90 days and stick to the plan. You're going to get that outcome. You're going to get that result. And you're doing it together, which a lot of couples don't do money together. And there's power, you can do anything when you both row in the same direction. It's more than 1 + 1, right? It's like 1 + 1 = 3 when you get that going. So anyway, they did that. But long story short, they are doing awesome now. They have no debt. They have savings. They have cash reserves. If something comes up, they do that, not go to a credit card. They do have 2 credit cards open, but they're only paying them off every month if they need it for convenience or for the points, which they're using for travel. So they've learned how to do that too. And it's awesome. They just have a great time for their grandkids. They're able to travel a little bit, fly the grandkids out to see them, and it's awesome.
I love when you share these types of stories because it also gives people hope. You know what I mean? Nothing's ever just you're done, you give up. No, there's always that hope. But I think it's also emphasizes the fact that you've talked about this before, that you have to have the right folks on your team, the right teammates to be able to help you get through all that too. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at some of the previous episodes where Judy talks about that as well too, who should be on your team, the questions you should be asking, because that's also very important so you never get to that dark place, right? Where you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And a dark place can look differently for different people. I have a client couple that I've been working with probably 7 or 8 years now. He has a big business. He's scaled it. It's millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars every year that he does in business. Really, really successful. He has a Midas touch. And outside of his expertise in business, he does other things. He invests in other businesses. He does real estate, he likes horses, race horses. Everything he does, Midas touch. It just makes money. And he came to me with the same kind of pain, but his pain wasn't, I can't pay my bills. He's got plenty of money, like way too much. And he gives a lot away too now, which is great. But his pain was the tax bill. It's like, sure, my companies are all earning this much money. Personally, I'm earning this much money. I have a tax problem. That's painful to write six-figure checks every year in the high six figures to taxes. Is there any way I can, other than making all these new businesses all the time and giving a lot away, any other way that we can put together a strategy to save the taxes, to preserve them for capitalizing other projects? And the answer is yes. So at this point, he's saving almost $1 million a year in tax from some strategies that we put together. And it doesn't mean he has to give it all away. There's just a way. There's always a way. That's the answer. When people say, I've got these problems, there's always a way, right? A legal way to get it done. And so he's able to save all this money and now give more away, capitalize more, plan for his children. They're expanding into other states with their business, and it's great. And when you have money, it gives you that flexibility. You can capitalize these projects, and he never has to think about that. And he has no pain. I mean, there's still taxes you have to pay, but he doesn't have pain when he talks about it in his face. It's like, because I can't even imagine, some of the checks that he has had to write for tax. And so we fixed that problem. And now we're just doing all the other things. Like for him, it's legacy at this point.
Awesome, folks. And we're at the tail end of our show. And you know what that means, guys. And just because we're talking about where are they now, doesn't mean that Judy doesn't have a challenge for you. What do you got for us today?
That's right. Well, here's the challenge for you. Where do you want us to say you are now in the future? Where do you want to be? So maybe put down, pen and paper. You always got to have pen and paper. 5 years and 10 years from today, what do you want to have that's different in your financial life? Is it a number that you want to have in the bank? Is it a number that you want to have in your retirement accounts or in your account for travel, where you can just, take a trip every year and have it already prepaid and not go on the credit card? What are the big parts of your life that you want to make sure are funded, that will just take the pressure off for you? Maybe it's just not worrying if you have enough money to finish the month every month. You kind of have this cash flow that you just spend. It's like, I've been here before. I started saving and now I'm back to zero. Started saving, now I'm back to zero. Am I not earning enough? Are you spending too much? What's the problem here? So whatever it is, where you are right now, what would make 5 years and 10 years look way different for you? Would it be a certain amount of money, a certain amount saved, a couple of goals that you'd like to achieve? Maybe, some of those bucket list items. What is it that you need to work toward? So when we're sitting there in 2028 and 2033, we can say that was successful. That 5 years, that 10 years, this is the outcome I wanted. Where they are now is where they wanted to be. If you can write that down, it's just easy to work backwards, connect the dots, and get there. So that's my challenge for you. Got to write it down.
That's right. All right, folks. And if you're just joining us, please watch the beginning of the show. There's a lot of great stories and content that Judy shared. And I think a lot of you can relate to some of what she shared. And if you're not following her, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We're here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. and the replays are on Thursdays at 8 p.m. So make sure you catch one or the other as well, too. Judy, any last parting words?
Make it a great week. You can do this.
That's right, folks. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.